Hilarious, bro. Hey, thanks for being here, guys. Obviously, I'm a one-man show tonight, like always. RicoKnows, here to talk to you guys about college football. You see the little scrolling bar. I ain't worried about none of them numbers. I ain't worried about none of that crap. I want to talk to you guys. I want you guys to understand something. I'm on an all-time high right now. I started the show late today, and I want to tell you guys a true story before we get started. And it's going to explain to you guys my inspiration for being great. We're starting late today because I had some meetings today and I had to talk to some people and I had to do these things, and I have another meeting tomorrow, so it might be a late start tomorrow. But I wanted to share something with you guys. So a couple years ago, my father lived with me. Now my father, I've told you guys many, many times, this is the best DJ I know, the best carpenter I know. He's the best at everything he does. But he was living with me for a while, a couple years, and my father was living with me, and I told him, hey, dude, you don't need to work. You can just retire, relax. I got you. Just live. I had a really big house. I said, just live downstairs. It ain't no big thing to me, bro. You do what you do. And he started running trails and getting in great shape, and he started meeting people and doing things. And he came to me one day. I don't know how it came up in conversation. I don't remember exactly. But he was like, hey, man, I want to DJ again. Now, what you don't know is my father's, like I said, he's one of the best DJs in the world. He's one of the best DJs I've known my whole life. And my dad is living in Georgia, and he didn't bring his speakers with him. He just showed up with his belongings, but he didn't have enough room to pack DJ speakers, if you will, or his amps or anything of that nature. So I remember I just thought to myself, well, I have the resources, I have the capability. Let's get this guy some speakers, and let's get him the best speakers that money can buy. Like, who cares? Let's get him what he wants and needs, and maybe he's going to go DJ. I don't know what he's going to do. He's in Georgia, and in Georgia is a different demographic. It's a lot of black people, a lot of white people. No Mexicans, and my father's Mexican, I'm Mexican. We come from Southern California, and we listen to old school hip hop, R&B. It's what we do. And you get out here to Georgia, and there is some old school. It's there, but not really. I mean, these people want country. And I'll never forget it. He said to me, "Hey, I got a gig." Now I helped him get a gig. We went out and we looked for gigs, and what we did was he became like the DJ for the city of Grovetown. He started doing like events around town. Like they have Christmas parties and these big gatherings where the whole city shows up. Dad's the DJ. Now, they have never, in these cities that we're in over here, this is real country shit, they don't even know what DJs are. Like, I'm being real. It's not like California. It's not like the city. These dudes want a band for everything. They want a banjo and a fucking play. Oh, the band's playing. And you know, that's what they think. And we're showing up. And my pops, he can't use both his hands, so I'm his roadie, right? I'm setting everything up. I'm setting up all his speakers. We're setting up a light show. We're setting up everything. And we're ready to get this shit popping. And I won't forget the first time we got a gig that he was excited about. We went over there to go look at the place, and we walked in, and it was called this place, I think it was called the Fraternal of the Eagle, something like that. And it was almost like a VFW or an American Legion. It was one of those types of clubs or places where veterans go and talk. And I was there, and at the time I'm an active duty first sergeant, and this was like 2 years ago. I don't even want to be there because these guys all want to tell me their war stories and shit. And they did like 3 years during the 80s, and I'm like, bro, I've been in the Army 20 years. Like, I don't know. My frame of mind and references and experiences are so different from yours. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I don't, man, I really hate the barracks. I don't know, bro. I own a barracks. I don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So anyways, but that first night, Dad, he's all in, man. My pops is all in. We set it up. It looks immaculate. I take a picture of it. It's amazing. And he starts playing some kick-ass music, and he's remixing country songs. I'm serious. We're talking about Brooks and Dunn, Neon Moon, with a beat behind it. He's playing the greatest songs that these people would want to hear. And these people, these elderly people, they're like, could you turn the lights down a little bit? It's in my eyes. Could you lower down the music? Could you not? And it was annoying because they weren't about that life. They weren't about that party, and we're about it. Like, this is what we do. We dance. We fill up the dance floor. We get it popping, and we're in this place. And I'll never forget it. As I was sitting at this table, I look around, and guys, my father was at the peak of enthusiasm. He was dancing around behind the booth, getting ready for the next song. He was talking on the mic. Yo, what's up? Party people in the house. Hey, get it, girl, get it. He's doing everything that he does, and it's so amazing. And I look out into the crowd, and there was 6 people there. I kid you not, there were 6 people there and maybe 2 people on the dance floor. And I just sat there in awe. Like, that man loves what he's doing. Nobody's watching. Nobody cares. He's got the same energy. And we did that play. We might have DJ'd at that place every weekend for like the next 2 months. And at some point, people started coming and showing up, but it wasn't like what we're used to in California. It wasn't but it was better than what that first night. But when I tell you my father's consistency was so impressive that he showed up every single night, ready to rock, giving it all he's got. He wasn't bummed out that nobody was there. He wasn't sad. He wasn't down. And we're doing this, and I can't even remember if they were able to pay him maybe $50, $100, whatever it was for the night, because they didn't have much of a budget either. But Dad wanted to get out of the house and do something, and he was all in on it. Now, I say that, and I think one of the parties we did for the city of Grovetown here in Georgia was like the Christmas party. That shit, they were doing a Christmas lighting thing. There was thousands of people out there. Hundreds, maybe 1,000 people, hundreds of people for sure. Bunch of food trucks, everything. And that shit was popping, and that was great. So yes, there were moments where it was extremely successful, and everybody had a good time, and they're all looking like, yo, who's that DJ? Who's that DJ? Now, shout out to my pops. He now lives, he's back in California, and he's back DJing, and he's doing what he enjoys and he loves. But I bring all that up to tell you guys this. That's my DNA. That's where I come from. That guy that showed up and rocked out those parties, if there was 6 people there or 600, it didn't matter. He gave the same energy every single time. And I say that because I do this podcast, and I don't care how many people are watching. I give you all I got every time. Same energy, same motivation, and I'm focused. And for a whole year, I had 30 people watching me. For a whole year, I had no MVPs. Nobody believed in me. I made 1,000 videos before I ever made $1. And now, I can get 2,000 paying members, and I'm the same guy. I'm the same energy. So I share that story to tell you how amazing my father is and what the example is. And when I witnessed that with my own eyes, a year later, I am doing that. A year later, I am emulating that, and I had no idea it was coming. But it's in me. And now I go to meetings with all these people that want to talk a bunch of money and a bunch of corporate things and this, that, and the other. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just looking at them like, I created this shit by talking and being relentless. You can't get me off that, bro. Shout out to my pops, man. He doesn't know. He doesn't know I was going to say this today. I love him. And you know what's crazy? Is when I had 12 people watching my podcast, when I had 30 people watching my podcast, he was one of them. He was one of the 12. He was one of the 30. And he's one of the 2,000. And he's one of the 10,000. When people tell me, be humble, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a loser, you don't have a fucking clue where we come from. You don't have a clue what we overcome, what humble beginnings we have, and all you're seeing right now is the fucking icing on the cake, bro. All you're seeing is the finished product. Shout out to my day one, A1. Shout out to everybody who started this with me, but it ain't stopping. We're amazing. I just wanted to share that with you today. Shout out to my pops, man. All right, check this out. We're talking about the ACC. We're talking about Conference USA. I want to start by telling you guys, they came out with this graphic today, and everybody's kind of, looking at it. This graphic from On3, I already told you guys about these websites. They're telling you who's currently in the playoffs. And they say the number 1 seed is Ohio State. Number 2 seed, Texas, 3, 4, and then 5. The first at-large would go to Alabama because they're the best team, not a conference champ. Georgia at 6. Is this telling you something? They think Alabama's beating Georgia this week. 7, another SEC team. 8, another SEC team. 9, Oregon. 10, Penn State. 11, Clemson. And 12, UNLV. And then they have these first 4 out, which doesn't make any sense to me. A group of 5 contenders. Here's why this doesn't make any sense to me. Because if you're basing this on week 5, Andy Staples, week 5, there is nothing subjective about this. Who are the conference leaders? They would be seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4. Who's in first place right now in these conferences? It is not these teams. This is all bullshit. This is just, I'm going to go by the polls and the rankings. No. Who has the most wins in conference? Who's currently in first place in these conferences? And that's why you'll see first out, Illinois, Missouri. He has to acknowledge that they are currently in first place. Miami has no ACC wins. I love Miami. Think Miami's a great team. They don't have any ACC wins. Louisville is the conference leader right now. Louisville has the most ACC wins and they're undefeated. This is ridiculous. So I put out a chart. I put out a list and let you guys know. The top 4 seeds are Missouri, Utah, Louisville, and Illinois. Right now. Those are your playoff teams. Oh, Rico, no, they're not because there's still Georgia, there's Texas. No, they haven't won their conference. They're not winning their conference right now. As of week 5, these are the top 4 teams winning their conference. Then the best team, not a conference champ, is Texas. The next best team is Georgia. And then I put Oregon here because, not because they're the best team, but because I project Oregon as having an easier schedule than Ohio State. I know they play each other. Oregon has an easier chance, a more likely chance to win 11 games. I talked about this in the offseason. So there's Oregon, Ohio State. Tennessee's got to win in conference. Indiana's got to win in conference. Then there's Ole Miss. Then there's Washington State. Now, I don't know if Washington State can take the group of 5 spot. I don't know. But right now, they're undefeated. So I put them there. Unless they're a Pac-12 champ. If they're the Pac-12 champ, why can't they? They got to get in here somewhere. We got to give them some love. They said it's the top 5 conference champions. Right? Top 5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. They're winning the Pac-12. So my criteria for the rankings are conference records, projected win totals, and then poll rankings. First team's out. Miami, currently. Currently, Miami's not there. Excuse me, I don't know what the hell this is. First teams out are Miami, Alabama, BYU, undefeated, but they're lower ranking than Utah. UCF, UNLV, Army, Penn State, Ruckers, Liberty, and JMU. All these teams are undefeated. We just don't have any conference wins. So how can you say somebody's first place in conference if they never beat anybody in the conference? This is opinionative bullshit here. This is not what this is supposed to be. What this bracketology, this is supposed to be, what are the current results? What are the current results right now? They don't want to hear me. They don't like a logical approach to things. Now, talking about the ACC, I wanted to show you the leading passers in the ACC. And one thing I wanted to point out here is how efficient Thomas Castellanos has been. He's really improved, 64%, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I just don't think he's that great. Ashton Daniels, man, getting sacked, nobody's getting sacked more than Fernando Mendoza. Cal quarterback, probably going to lead the country in sacks. Their offensive line is gross. And they tried to find answers in the FCS portal. That's not a good place to look for answers. Eli Holstein, if I had told you he was going to be the 3rd leading passer in conference, you would have freaked out. You would never believe me. Freshman? Shout out to him. It helps you play Youngstown State. But yeah, in conference, rushing leaders. Omar and Hampton, no surprise. Bishal Tootin, second. Rashard Smith, former wide receiver, really, but he's a running back, transfer from Miami, third. I'm so impressed with Desmond Reed at 4. I'm so impressed with Desmond Reed at 4 because he didn't play this week. Desmond Reed would be number 1 if he or no, he wouldn't be number 1. He'd be number 2 if he had played against Youngstown State. Star Thomas getting up here in the top 5 because of the last 2 weeks, and Xavier Brown is the biggest hidden gem at running back that nobody's talking about, not even me. I'm not even talking about him because he didn't play last year. He didn't play last year, and now he shows up and he finally gets some carries and he went ham this week. Went ham. There's Phil Maffa doing his thing. Javen Thomas filling in for Ott when he's injured. Trayshawn Ward appears to have won that running back room. I'm going to talk about it later. Jordan Lyle, I hope he doesn't play another game. Jordan Lyle is a freshman stud. Miami does not need him playing. Let him redshirt. Don't waste a year of his eligibility. 4 games and we're chilling. 4 games and we're chilling, and there's a couple other guys doing that right now. We'll get there. But who's struggling? LaQuinn Allen, Jordan Waters, Damian Martinez. These guys are struggling down here. That's not good enough for me. Oh, but Rico, they're averaging 4 or 5 yards. I don't care, man. Get some production. Get it. You can't be the 18th, 16th, 17th, and 18th leading rushers in the conference, and I'm going to get excited about you. No. Get up here, bro. Stop messing around. Receivers. 2 guys I really believe in, Malachi Fields, Jordan Moore. I talk about them every single week. Just complete monsters, complete studs that nobody talks about in mainstream media. They're great. They're going to get their receiving yards. They're going to do their thing. There's some really talented guys down here with no production. It's unfortunate. And then there's some really disappointing people down here. And I say disappointing because I expect more from them. But I'll get into all this. Let's go look at the injuries. There's a lot of injury updates, and this is going to be important because there's a lot of guys trying to figure out right now that they're not built for this, and they want a red shirt, and they want to save a year of eligibility, and they want to leave. That's what's happening. Okay, week 4 is your week 5. We're in week 5. This is your cutoff date. So pay attention. Greg DeRosas out versus MTSU. Memphis is really injured this week. They got a huge spread against MTSU. They're much better than MTSU, but it's a problem. Nate McCollum, love him to death. Doesn't matter. They're not throwing to him, but I love him to death. Should return for the Duke game. Okay, I hope so. Christian Hamilton out versus Duke. Jaden Thompson out for the season. See that? Looking for ways out. We're out of here. Jaden Thompson out. Cam Davis will now be running back number 1 at Florida State. That's a freshman running back, and that's because, and I'll get to it right now, Williams is probably done. Probably done trying to save eligibility. Hakeem Williams, now number 1 on the wide receiver depth chart. Okay? Just whatever. Game time decision versus Notre Dame. Colin Lacey, complete stud. Hope he's healthy. Quarterback number 1 on the depth chart. Shout out to A&M. Get back to your losing ways. Braden Locke, the new quarterback for Wisconsin. He'll be playing against USC. Good luck. Ali Jennings. Hope he gets healthy, but now he's back at number 1 at wide receiver depth for Virginia Tech. This is a big deal. I think he's one of their best wide receivers. Kyron Drones still doesn't throw to him. Cam Wallace, unknown status on Monday. Still don't know what's going on with Cam Wallace. Not on the week 5 depth chart. Cooper, Flanagan. Landon Morris should return versus Army. Rock Taylor, questionable. Careful with that. Questionable for MTSU. It's not good. We need Rock Taylor. Kobe Drake, unknown for MTSU. That means Demir Blumpkin is the only guy you can bet on. Demir Blumpkin is the only guy you can bet on MVPs. Please, I can't say it again. Demir Blumpkin is the only guy you can bet on. Prop bets. Go get him. He's amazing. Quinn Ewers at practice on Monday. Cam Rising. Zip on the ball is the issue. Zip on the ball or lack thereof. That's an issue. Jordan Brown, questionable for week 5. Joshua Kelly, questionable for week 5. When you got 2 guys questionable, and Josh Kelly's great, I'm already telling you Cincinnati's winning that game. And I love Texas Tech and their offense and everything they put together. I'm already on it. Out. Roydell Williams is out, and he's out. Not even on the depth chart this week. Very problematic. Doesn't want to play football. They're telling me he's got an injury. They got to supervise it for a long time. Whatever the hell that means, he's out. Doing a lot better. Loveland K'Von Lee out for an extended period of time. Everybody's in an extended period of time. This is the Mississippi State running back. Penn State transfer. Mississippi State is going to their third string quarterback or whatever you want to call him, and now they don't have a running back. These guys are just trash. Lofton out. LJ Martin not on the depth chart for week 5 for BYU. It's a problem for BYU. They need LJ Martin. He's their only good, decent back as far as I'm concerned. I know I saw another guy getting some runs. Doesn't impress me. Look at Harrison Whaley. Will only play 4 games in 2024. What does that mean? Harrison Whaley he hasn't played any games this year. He is the star running back at Wyoming. They're so bad, he doesn't give a shit about his team. He's only going to play 4 games, save his eligibility, and transfer. Trust. Harrison Whaley will only play 4 games in 2024. Could have returned in week 4. Zachary Franklin, okay. Baines will play Thursday versus Army. Zay Baines. And then Sire Gaines, game time decision versus Wazoo on Saturday. He's the backup running back, third string, freshman running back. I told you guys how good he was if you follow the Twitter. A lot of guys with some sand. All right, let's talk about some results real quick. Remember, if you got any comments, you're watching on TikTok, you're watching on YouTube, just put it in the comments. Any comments you want, put it in the chat. I will get to it, and then we'll go from there. Remember, keep it ACC and Conference USA oriented. I will get to you. Stanford went out there and beat Syracuse. ACC matchup. Both teams are in the ACC. Syracuse was supposed to win this game. I told you Syracuse was winning, and I was wrong. Stanford's defensive line was way too good. They dominated up front. There's 4 sacks, but it's more than that. There was hurries. They reset the line of scrimmage. You couldn't do anything if you were Syracuse trying to drop back to pass. I was so surprised that McCord was able to even get some of these passes off. I really was. Shout out to Stanford. They went out there and did their thing. Now, here's the thing about Stanford. You can be wrong about Stanford for a number of reasons. And in the preseason, I didn't evaluate them to be this good. They're 2-1 now. I had them 1-2 at this point. Really, I had them losing the opening game, and then I had them losing this one. And for me, it's because Chris Davis Jr. and Micah Ford, these guys are freshmen. Incoming freshmen being in your starting lineup is crazy, and they're doing it, and they're playing great. And I could miss on that kind of stuff. I could miss on that because I watch a huddle tape and I go, yeah, that kid's good. I don't think he's better than the starters on your team. At least he shouldn't be. Shouldn't you be recruiting players like this 4 years in a row so that an incoming freshman isn't better than your starter? But when you lose your starter, Emmitt Smith Jr., and he goes to A&M, and you're left with scrubs, this is what you got, man. You got these freshmen coming in, and they look good. They look really good. Chris Davis had a breakout game here. Michael Ford's been good for a couple weeks now. But, yeah, and LaQuinn Allen, not doing anything to impress me. Pena's open all the time, which is crazy. Start believing in Pena. Gatson really let me down this game. I had him on anytime touchdown, and he was never really even targeted. He was just worthless, doing nothing. Alec Aomanor, we saw him eat up Travis Hunter last year. He's still eating up people, bro. No diddy. No 1,000 bottles of baby oil, but he's still doing it. Aomanor is great. Defensively, they dominated. Shout out to Scotty Edwards. On the other side of the ball, didn't impress me on defense at all. Yes, Jaden Bellamy had some good hits. By the way, weekday games, we live stream these. We live stream them. If you're not watching, we have watch parties. You should show up. We give out advice. We talk about the players. We do what we do. In this game, I'm only going to talk about Miami because, obviously, this is not an ACC team. Cam Ward, I think he's still good. He threw an interception. Everybody's talking about it. Whatever. Jordan Lyle broke for 91 yards and then kind of struggled the rest of his carries. But Jordan Lyle is so good. I hope they don't waste his eligibility. Like I said, I need him to redshirt. Freshman. Good. Receivers, all studs. They're deep. They're great. They're athletic. Great players. Like this guy, A.J. Allen right here. He's a Nebraska transfer. Very good. And he's third string running back, and he's down here getting only 1 touch. That guy could start at so many schools. That's how deep Miami is. Miami's so deep. Defensively, there's no touch. Francisco Malagoa is everywhere. I don't even know if I say his name right. I've always called him Malagoa. I don't even know what they say on TV because I don't watch with the volume up. All right, but they are great. Great team all the way around. Miami looks like they're hit on all cylinders. Remember, I had them at 7 in the preseason, and everybody laughed at me. I was right. Louisville. One thing that impressed me when I went back and watched this game this morning is Louisville did not have a lot of offensive plays. They really didn't. 19 pass attempts, 27 rushes. That's it, man. That's not a lot of offensive plays. It's just not. They didn't have the ball that long. They were just efficient, getting it done. They have no run game. No run game. Don't tell me Georgia Tech's defensive line is stout. They have no run game. They did take advantage of a terrible secondary over here on Georgia Tech. Their defenders are bad. But, man, they were just efficient. Getting it done. Getting it done. I was very impressed. I do have concerns about their lack of a pass rush, but it's all good. Clemson, NC State. I really wish Clemson didn't play Georgia. Because if Clemson didn't play Georgia to start the season, they'd be a top 10 team right now. They'd be a top 5 team. The way they've looked the last 2 weeks is out of this world. The way they pummeled App State, and then they did this to NC State as well. Like, everybody was impressed with Tennessee. Everybody's like, Tennessee beat NC State by 40 on national TV. They beat a ranked team, Rico. Well, Clemson just beat that same ranked team. But they're not ranked anymore, so it doesn't count as beating a ranked team. Tennessee gets credit for beating a ranked team. Clemson beats the same ranked team. And did it in a more dominant fashion. Don't worry about this score. 21 points in the fourth quarter. This shit was out of hand. This was out of hand. It was much worse. Cade Klubnik still missing some targets, but my God. Phil Maffa, these are chunk plays. Chunk yardage, just running wherever the hell they want. Adam Randall looks like a decent wide receiver. He's big, 6'2", 220 pounds. He's a physical specimen. He's just out-muscling people. Out-muscling guys. They hit Williams early. They kept throwing to Antonio Williams to start the game. Had some really explosive plays in the first quarter. Then I didn't see anything the rest of the game. But Adam Randall, man amongst boys. And you guys know how I feel about Wesco down here. And he's not even getting his touches. On the other side, Justin Jolly is great. Shout out to UConn. They probably miss him. Concepcion is probably frustrated. He's not getting all his plays. And the reason is last year, Concepcion was the only receiver in this room. So he got a lot of plays, 1,000 yards, All-American, all this stuff. He looked great. And I need people to understand that when you bring in more players, maybe better players, there's still only one football. Remember when the Lakers brought in Gary Payton and Karl Malone to try to win a ring? And everybody's like, oh my God, they got Gary Payton the glove. He sucks. And they got Karl Malone, second all-time leading scorer and all this. And they didn't win any rings. They lost. You get all the guys you want. There's still only one basketball. So you brought in all these players. That's cool, man, but they're just taking reps away from Concepcion. And you were a lot more successful when you were just throwing it to that little dude and handing it off to that guy. But your quarterback, C.J. Bailey, and he wasn't ready for this game. And it's not his fault. When I watch this game, the Clemson defense is going to be a different monster by the end of the season. Sammy Brown's a true freshman. 5-star true freshman out of Jefferson, played running back and linebacker in high school, and I want to tell you, I love his running back tape. Shout out to Sammy Brown. You know, there was one point 2 years earlier, Malachi Starks was the starting running back at Jefferson as well. He's the star safety at Georgia. Like, Jefferson has had some amazing players over the last couple of years. And Sammy Brown is the bee's knees. And I love seeing him in this game, making plays, doing his thing. Like, he looked great. Barrett Carter, North Gwinnett, won the state title. Just studs. Like, these are all Georgia and Alabama superstars. They really are. T.J. Parker dominating up front. You guys already know how I feel about Peter Woods. Like, I love this team's talent. Avion Terrell coming out of, I think, Westlake. Avion Terrell causing fumbles. He caused the fumble. I don't know if it's on here, but he caused the fumble in the game. He looked great. Yeah, I really like Clemson, man. Talent-wise, they're so loaded. JMU, North Carolina. I talked about this in the MVP results video, so I don't want to go too much in depth. I'm just going to tell you that if I told you that North Carolina was going to score 50 points, throw for 475 yards and 3 touchdowns, and have Omar and Hampton go for 3 touchdowns and average 7 yards a carry, if I told you those were the stats, you would think they won the game in a blowout. And that's not what happened. Okay, it's not what happened at all. There was just a lot of freak accidents in this game, freak plays, and it's pretty embarrassing, like the onside kick, some fumbling, just weirdest stuff you'll ever see in a game. I mean, I'm witnessing history, and I'm just sitting there like, man, and I was on North Carolina to win this game. And I really believe in North Carolina as a team. I really do. They got all the pieces to be great. They had a very bad game. They still put up 50, bro. They still put up 50. You can't say they're terrible. They put up 50. Yes, they couldn't stop anything. And I bring that up because they play Duke this week, and they're underdogs to Duke. And I don't think Duke's better than these guys. Just letting you know. Shout out to the MVPs. You guys know the deal, but they didn't win. And Mack Brown came out and said, "Hey, should I resign?" He asked the players, "Should I resign after this?" He said, "Should I hang it up? Am I too old? Has the game passed me by?" That's what Mack Brown talked to his players about. Talk about having no confidence. You know, when I miss picks in the world of gambling, and I advise all the gamblers, when I miss picks, do I ever show up and go, "Hey guys, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. Should I quit? Should I resign? Should I just give it up?" Like, do you guys understand that my locks, there were 2 weeks last year where I went 37% against the spread. 37% in back-to-back weeks. Do you know how many MVPs jumped ship and left? Like hundreds. Nowadays, I'll have a bad game, I'll have a bad pick, and I'll lose like 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. It's not a real big deal. We'll gain 50 for the day, and I'll lose 8. And I'll be like, okay. Well, thanks for the donation, bro. So misses are going to happen. That's part of gambling. But I've been really wrong. 2 weeks in a row. I remember it last year vividly. And then bowl season came, and I remember the bowls. I started off 0-3. And everybody was like, "Oh, I'm quitting. I'm canceling MVP. These bowl games are too unpredictable. You don't know what you're doing, and the season's over. I'm out of here." And then I finished bowl season after all the bowl games. I was at over 65%. We got it under control. You can't quit. You got to stick with it. So, Mack Brown, get some confidence, bro. Get a backbone. Get some balls. You lose a game, you walk into that locker room and say, "Bro, we scored 50. We should have won." And you make them all do some sprints, and no, you don't wear the hat. You didn't fumble. You didn't fumble. You didn't throw those interceptions. Going in the locker room saying, "It's my fault." You can say that shit at a press conference. That's weak shit. Speaking of weak shit, shout out to Coastal Carolina. Hey, look at Virginia, man. Virginia looked great in this game. Like I told you guys, hidden gem is Xavier Brown. Getting 9 carries for 171 yards. Xavier Brown just kind of breaking out, having a great game. This is a guy that didn't play at all last year. Haven't seen him play since 2022. And back then, he didn't really move me like that. But he was very productive in this game. And Kobe Pace, the Clemson transfer, never finds the hole. Never finds the hole. They give him way too many carries. It's been, I don't know. Let me see. I want to see his yards per carry. I don't even know. It's been a rough season for me watching this guy. Oh, it says 5 yards a carry? Oh, I didn't know. The Richmond game. Forgot. No, this is what I've been seeing every week. 2.8 yards, 3.8 yards, 4.2. Like, this isn't it, man. This is terrible. Don't believe that number. Don't believe that 5.0. That's all inflated stats against a FCS team. No, look at this. This is what he does. 3.1, 2.6 on the whole season. 21, he was back at Clemson. Pretty sure he followed Elliott over. Yeah, he was back at Clemson back then. Oh, man, this guy sucks. So I'm watching him, and I just see him just getting less is more. Like he just, or no, wait. He does less with more. Yeah, I give him enough carries. He still doesn't do anything with it. Malachi Fields is a stud. Trust that man. Touchdowns, clutch, yards, everything. He's the alpha in this place. Like him a lot. Defensively, very senior lad, and I talk about it all the time. One of the best safeties in the country. Jonas Sanker will be one of the top 5 safeties drafted. Don't care if anybody's talking about it. Don't care if anybody knows. They're going to talk about Malachi Starks and all this stuff, and I get it. Starks is great. Jonas Sanker, one of the top safeties in America. I watch tape on him, and I just go, "Oh, that's NFL." Like, you know, I just watch film, and I go, "Oh, that's a Sunday guy." Like, that's a Sunday guy. I just write down on my notes, Sunday. That's what I write on my notes, Sunday. Jonas Sanker. Fucking phenomenal. Complete stud. Going to nullify a lot of players in the secondary. I like that kid. Virginia Tech, terrible, man. You're going up against a quarterback that can't throw, and Ethan Kaliakmanis, and you still don't win the game. I'm happy because I picked Ruckers to win this game. They lied. They lied on the injury report. They said Tootin wasn't playing. He obviously showed up and played. You didn't give him the ball enough. You don't have receivers that can get open. You got a quarterback that can't find him. Man, I'm telling you, Kyron Drones is starting to play a lot like I anticipated back in 2022 when everybody told me I was wrong. Remember that? I used to talk about Kyron Drones not being a good quarterback. I used to talk about it for months. And then he played great last year, and I was like, hey, guys, I was wrong. I was wrong on him. Well, I don't think I was wrong. I think it takes some time for my predictions to come true. That keeps happening. I'll make a prediction, it looks like I was wrong, and then it comes true. Shout out to Anthony Richardson. But yeah, this defense is not getting it done the way I anticipated. It's supposed to be Saxburg. They're not doing that. They're not dominating, and Rutgers finds a way to win. And Rutgers wins this game, and they miss 2 field goals. Nuts. Pitt took the week off, played Youngstown State, won by, I don't know. What's the number? 64, 54, 56? Some shit like that. 56. Insane. Nate Yarnell is so good that he comes in. Nate Yarnell can start at other schools. Nate Yarnell's going to transfer. And he's going to be a starter at North Texas. Tulsa. He's a Texas kid. So I think he's going to transfer and be the starter at Texas State. Take back Texas. He's lost the job to Eli Holstein. That's done. So he's here for the year. He's good depth. He's backing him up. Eli Holstein's going to be the starting quarterback here. And Nate Yarnell's going to hit the portal after this season. And he's going to transfer back to Texas. That's what he's going to do. I think so. Yep. Starting quarterback, North Texas. Baylor. UTSA. UTEP. Trying to think. Houston. Something like that. Nate Yarnell's going back home. Good player. Daniel Carter, been at Pitt for a long time, never really been good. Finally gets to play against an FCS team and tears them the hell up. Daniel Carter's not a good player. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the numbers. Don't do that. He's not very fast, not very dynamic. Doesn't move me like that. Obviously, Desmond Reed is their star, and he wasn't here. They just lit him up with a bunch of backups and a bunch of other people. Good stuff. Good stuff. And Youngstown State, they have a great running back, by the way. This guy King, where's he at? Tyshawn King? Great running back, and he only got 7 yards on 9 carries. I've seen him on tape before. He's good, man. He's good. UFL good. Like, he's that kind of good. He'll be in one of those other leagues. Duke, MTSU. I can talk about both teams because I'm obviously talking about Conference USA today, and MTSU's there. MTSU sucks. They're terrible. Shout out to Nick V. Malik Murphy's finding his stride. He's still not very consistent. Doesn't hit people all that often. But Star Thomas, the last 2 weeks, has really taken over. This is the New Mexico State running back. He's not particularly fast. But he finds holes. He's a patient runner. He's like Le'Veon Bell patient, but not that good. Like, I hate saying that. Think of a different running back that's just kind of okay. I'm trying to think of one right now. It's not coming to mind. He's not special. But he's getting 100 yards back-to-back weeks. He's been looking pretty solid for 2 weeks now. Shout out to Henry Bellin getting some carries. That's a good quarterback. Good quarterback. Receivers, Jordan Moore's the guy. Nicky has a game this game, whatever. Believe in Jordan Moore every single week. Jordan Moore, Jordan Moore, Jordan Moore. If you think what JMU did to North Carolina wasn't a fluke, if you think you like what JMU did to North Carolina, then you probably want to bet Jordan Moore props this week because he's going to get his yards and touchdowns against North Carolina DBs, theoretically. He's good. Jordan Moore's good. So is Eli. Don't worry about this. It was MTSU fumbling everywhere, and then we have all this. Look at this, guys. Alex Howard leads this defense. Alex Howard actually a transfer from Youngstown State. It says Texas A&M, but he didn't play there. He was just trust me. Trust me. Okay. So anyways, what I wanted to talk about here is Duke's defensive line is so good on tape, guys. It's so impressive, and they have 6 sacks. They're good. That's what's having them win these games. That's why they're undefeated. Duke's defensive line, and they lost Peoples, and they lost who's the other guy? They lost 2 guys. I'm forgetting his name right now. These guys' names right now. One went to Virginia Tech. One went to, I think, Notre Dame? Where'd he go? It doesn't matter. They both left. But here's the problem. A team like MTSU rushing all over you. Jaden Creedle is such a good running back. Shout out to Jaden Creedle. Went to high school here in Carver, here in Georgia. I've been a fan of his for many, many years. Initially went to NIU. Played at Northern Illinois for 1 year. Saw the running back room was loaded. I think Harrison Whaley was the Wyoming kid. He was the starter there at that time. So then he jumps in the transfer portal, and he comes on over to MTSU. By the way, the running backs coach was leaving NIU at that time, and he was going up to Minnesota. So you lose the guy who recruited you, brought you in. You're not getting the playing time, so you go over to MTSU. He gets here, and he's now won over this running back room, which I'm really happy about. Because last year they had some guy who, what was his name? He jumped in the portal. Nobody picked him up. He's back on the team. He just sucks. Frank Pleasant. Not very good. And I just knew that Jaden Creedle's more dynamic. He's special. I think Jaden Creedle's a hidden gem. 0 stars coming out of high school. And I just believe in him completely. I watched him all high school. And I was just like, man, that guy's getting 200 yards a game. Why does nobody care about him? And Jaden Creedle goes out there and lights you up for 125 yards on 12 carries. And he gets a touchdown. And you might be like, well, he got 60 yards on 1 carry, 66 yards. So that means he got 55 yards on the other carry? I'm not doing my math right. 66 plus, what is that? I'm trying to get a 5 here. And 59? My bad. I'm terrible right now. Yeah, 59. So 59 yards on 11 other carries. Okay, it's still a 5-yard average. When you're giving up that many yards to a terrible MTSU team, MTSU does not have a good offensive line, and I like Creedle. But when you look at North Carolina, they're going to have Omarion Hampton, and he's going to go ham. I think Omarion Hampton's going to run all. And they got to know they can't throw. Duke's going to get their sacks if you try to throw. They got to hand the ball off. They have to. So just something to think about. MTSU defensively, obviously losing their star linebacker to Virginia Tech hurts. Watching the film, not impressed by anything. Oh, by the way, receivers. Holden Willis here. They call him a wide receiver or a tight end. He's a tight end. He's a tight end. Yeah, he's tight end. He's 6'4", 212. So sometimes I think they call him a wide receiver, but he's a tight end. Holden Willis is always going to get his yards, no matter what. Just remember that. No, I don't care who they play. That guy's going to get his stats. I think he's borderline NFL. He's going to get his stuff on anybody. Remember that. Getting your stuff on anybody. So TCU, coach gets ejected, which is crazy. Got 2 unsportsmanlike conduct. And then Josh Hoover played like shit. So anybody who tells me Josh Hoover is him, his Heisman Trophy campaign is starting now, I don't want to hear it. It isn't just the 2 interceptions. I believe he had 2 fumbles as well. The team had 5 fumbles. 5. Anybody on offense that touched the ball was fumbling. Josh Hoover, Cam Cook, the insurance salesman, J.P. Richardson. It was bad. And I already told you this team is like Colorado to me. No ability to run the ball. 0 ability to run the ball. But really good quarterback play, usually, and receivers for days. And they're going to force feed that ball to Savion Williams. But this game, Eric McAllister came to play. Boise State transfer, love him. Doesn't matter, though. You put up 42 points. You fumble 5 times, you're going to lose. And SMU didn't do anything too special in this game. They scored in every way possible, though. They picked up all these fumbles. They had a pick 6. They had a punt return for a touchdown. Their players, Ahmed Walker's a complete stud, transfer from Liberty. You got to know it. Their leader on their defense is Jonathan McGill, the safety. That's an NFL guy to me. Kobe Wilson, a Temple transfer linebacker, complete stud. Just look at these names. These are all guys I believed in that I've talked about in previous videos or in posts on Twitter. They all came to play this game. Cameron Robertson, North Texas transfer, complete stud. I keep saying complete stud, complete stud. 2 interceptions for Moses in this game. Elijah Roberts, probably the best talented player on this defense. He's an edge rusher. Probably the best talented player all the way down here as far as production goes. I don't care. So SMU played a complete game, and I'm sorry to the MVPs because I picked TCU to win this game, and I contradicted my own talent evaluation. And what I'm talking about is in the preseason, I said SMU was a very good team. I had them 24th in the polls. I thought SMU was the 24th best team talent-wise. Not saying Rhett Lashley's the 24th best coach or anything like that. Just talent-wise, when I evaluated SMU, they looked that good to me. And I have TCU, I think, at 39. So I have TCU at 39. I have SMU at 24. I should have picked SMU in the head-to-head. And they were underdogs in this game by 2.5 points. We would have won a ton of money. And I would have been right had I just stayed with my data and trusted my research. And sometimes we're all learning. We're all getting better. And I made a mistake. So I'm sorry. It happens. It sucks. Then we get to Florida State. I told the MVPs Florida State was going to get their first win of the season. I thought they were beating Cal. And the number one reason why is I think Cal's offensive line is gross. And Florida State's defensive line is the strength of their defense. So, and it came out like to be a complete fact. Look at this. 7 sacks. 7 sacks in this game for Florida State, just obliterating this offensive line. There's nothing you can do. Fernando Mendoza is a statue. He gives you no dual threat capability. He is a good thrower. He can throw, but just getting sacked everywhere, and they couldn't get anything going. Then Florida State finds a way to win. Florida State didn't get anything going. Don't believe Florida State played any better than they have been. They didn't. DJ still throwing for less than 200 yards. No ability to run the ball. I'm not impressed with anything they're doing. Nothing. And then you see them. They released the depth chart this week, and I went through it. And when I go through the depth chart, what I see here is I was right. Shout out to me. I told you guys Conrad Hussey's going to be the starter someday. He's my hidden gem in the preseason. And he's now starting over Earl Little and Devontae Brown. Shout out to Devontae Brown. You can't play football, bro. Devontae Brown started 31 games at UCF and then thought he could play at other schools. So he transferred to Miami, was on the bench all year. Now he transfers to Florida State, on the bench for the rest of the year. Conrad Hussey's the future. He's the guy. I believe in him. But yeah, other than that, you just have a running back issue where Roydell Williams is gone. Roydell Williams is not going to play anymore. It says extended period of time with an injury. Cool. You know, when things aren't going right, you tend to quit. You tend to quit. When things aren't going well, you tend to quit. Oh, my ankle hurts. I call it the LL. You guys ever seen two people racing? You ever seen two people racing and one guy loses? And the minute he gets past, he just kind of quits and then he starts limping? I call it the loser's limp. Oh, he got the good old LL. We've been calling it the LL our whole lives. It's real. Loser's limp is real. And that's a loser's limp right there. Because if they were winning games, I don't know how injured he is. I don't care. Boston College finds a way to beat Michigan State. It's probably got something to do with Aiden Childs throwing 3 interceptions, which is terrible. But they didn't look good. Boston College did not look good. I want to say something, though. Shame on them. I went back to watch this game. I wanted to know why I missed my prop bet, because I had a prop bet in this game. Trayshawn Ward, 25 yards rushing. Ty Robichaux, 25 yards rushing. And Castellanos rushing. Now, Castellanos didn't even get to the number I needed, which was 40, so that's fine. But where is Robichaux, the starting running back for this team? Well, Robichaux played 1 play in this game. 1 play. I think Bill O'Brien and the offensive coordinator, they need to be checked for their pocketbooks. Somebody's gambling here. Is he in the doghouse? Because he's no longer the starting running back. It's obviously now Trayshawn Ward, and they're giving everything to Trayshawn Ward moving forward. He was already doing well in the passing game, but this is crazy. You're starting running back, and he got 6 carries the week before against Duquesne, and it didn't really seem to alarm me because they won by such a huge amount. I thought they were just resting their starting running back. But it seems like he's in the doghouse. So now we can't bet on this shit because we don't know if Kai Robichaux is ever going to play again. I can't deal with it. Turbo Richard, the freshman, getting all the carries now, getting more playing time than Robichaux. Robichaux is a Western Kentucky transfer. You guys might not know this, but 2 years ago, when Robichaux transferred in from Western Kentucky, he actually is the reason. Okay, let me go a little bit further back. Baishal Tootin was going to transfer from North Carolina A&T. He was an All-American in the FCS. This is a 1,400-yard rusher in the FCS. He was going to transfer to Boston College. That's right. Baishal Tootin was going to Boston College. And then Boston College decided, well, we have our starter. His name was Patrick Garwo, who's now at Nevada. But we have Patrick Garwo, but he's injury prone. We need more running backs. So we're getting Baishal Tootin. Hey, man, we should probably go get another guy. So they got Kai Robichaux from Western Kentucky. He wasn't even a starter at Western Kentucky, so I don't know what we're doing. But they go and get him. And now everybody's showing up to Boston College. Well, that just takes Tootin out. And Tootin says, I'm going to go to Virginia Tech, and the rest is history. Now he's the starting running back at Virginia Tech. And now you have Robichaux over here, and you're not taking him because you got Trayshawn Ward, former Florida State, Kansas State transfer. So when I see these names, you guys got to know, when I see these names on these teams, I just see a player's name, and I just know their whole fucking history. And I just go, man, it's weird how These kids will go from one school and transfer in and then just be thrown away. The coaching staff just gives up on you and just throws you away. Where's Robichaux, man? Unless he's injured and they didn't tell us. But he played only one play in the game. One. I was furious. They couldn't really throw the ball. And it's no surprise. You got Thomas Castellanos at quarterback. He can't throw. Got it to Bond for a ton of yards. Jaden Skeet is him. Get him the ball more. It's my hidden gem, my preseason hidden gem. I knew it. I didn't care about the depth chart. I just knew Jaden Skeet is the guy. And he's here, but they still can't get him the ball. Trayshawn Ward does catch screen passes out of the backfield. He did fumble in this game. Defensively, Cam Arnold is the leader of this defense. Playing great. Cam Horsley, defensive tackle in the middle, nose tackle. Stud. He's a problem up front. Like him a lot. Amari Jackson obviously getting it done in the back end. Best corner on this team right now. Making plays, doing things, taking names. Good stuff. Shout out to Boston College for finding a way to win. Talk about Michigan State tomorrow when I do the Big Ten. All right, let's talk about ACC matchups this week. I already talked about it. Friday, Virginia Tech at Miami. This is an MVP lock. I won't be going into detail about it. But if you want to know who's going to win this game, if you should be picking against the spread or whatever, please become an MVP. Get to the Discord server, and you can talk to other MVPs, but get to Patreon. Get to YouTube. You can join here. You just hit the join button here on YouTube. A lot of people do that. I have about 300 people doing that. But we have thousands on Patreon. Thousands. And that's where everybody's at. And you get those information. You get those breakdowns. I'll be doing a full half hour on this game only for MVPs on Friday. Western Kentucky at Boston College. Hey, it's a rematch game. They probably want Kai Robichaux back. But anyways, Boston College 13-point favorite against Western Kentucky. I don't know if they can cover that spread. They've played really bad. They've looked bad. Veldkamp came in and played for Western Kentucky, and everybody's like, oh, the backup quarterback looks great, right, Rico? No, he played a terrible game. Watched it. I'll talk about it here in a few. Just bad. He didn't look good. Didn't look ready to play, and they still found a way to win the game. Congrats to them. Northern Illinois at NC State. Oh, the battle of the mid, apparently. Northern Illinois just lost. It pains my soul. They just lost to Buffalo. And then NC State has not looked good all year. Yet NC State's a 7-point favorite because they have a more talented team. Whatever. Holy Cross at Syracuse. Holy Cross, I'm curious what that spread is. Curious what we won't know till Saturday. They don't release FCS spreads until Saturday. Louisville, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, 6.5-point favorite. Let's watch the game and learn about these teams because Louisville still hasn't played anybody. They played Georgia Tech, but let's learn about these teams. If I had knee-jerk reaction, I gotta believe Louisville has a shot, man. Louisiana, Wake Forest. Wake Forest is supposed to win the game. I wouldn't bet on that in a million years. Hope they do, but I wouldn't bet on it. North Carolina, Duke. MVPs, no. Stanford, Clemson. I think it's on the chart. I think I have Clemson covering this spread. I really do. Florida State, SMU. SMU's 5.5-point favorite. Sounds about right. Florida State can't score. Sounds about right. We'll figure it out. All right, let's go to the chat. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. If you're watching on YouTube or TikTok, please move over to YouTube. We got you. All right, let's see what the chat says. Willie Bobo says, what's up? What's up, Willie? Willie the Boat. Oh, wait, I got to hit interact over here. My bad. Y'all can't see the comments. Let me control that. There you go. Make money. Oh, because I was rapping or going to the beat or something. Was worried we wouldn't get a show today. Connor, don't worry, man. Don't worry. I just got life happening. What's up, Rico? I thought I was late, but I'm right on time. TD Florida, you are right on time. It is only 7:24. Word. Committed to the craft and shaped by what you grew up with. Great men mold great men. Shout out to Rico's Pops. Thank you so much, Salt and SWAT, and shout out to him. Thank you. Great story. Thank you, Christian Reyes. I try my best. Rico's stories are always entertaining. More importantly, they teach a life lesson. I try, Connor. Do you think Alex Atkins' suspension had a big effect on FSU in gameplay? Doesn't Norvell call the plays anyways? TD Florida. So for me, I don't really care about what's going on with the coaching staff and the turmoil. The execution on the field is not there. And it's been this way all season. It's not a big deal. Like, it's not this week this happened and this is what's impacting it. No. The football is simple. Offensive lines need to beat defensive lines. Receivers need to beat DBs. Running backs need to beat linebackers. That's the matchups. Go get it done. And they're not. They're not getting it done. Good to see you, Rico. Thank you, Armin. Great call on North Texas -7 last week was free money for me. It was laughable to me. North Texas against Wyoming -7. How is Wyoming going to score with North Texas? They literally can't score that many touchdowns. They just don't have it. That was laughable. That was easy money. Shout out to the MVPs who bet it. If people watch the lives, you said to hammer it, watch the videos. Watch the videos, become an MVP, watch the lives, come to the podcast. If you care about your money, get immersed in the platform if you care about your money. That's all I can tell you. MVPs know what's up. You guys are the same dudes here every week winning as much money as possible. I will say this. I got 3 annual MVPs in the last 2 days. Feels pretty good. I like annual MVPs. I like those guys. Salt and SWAT says, to be fair, Mississippi State didn't have a running back before Lee went out. Booth and Daniels did look good last week, though. I mean, Booth looked good for a year. He's looked good for a year. Hey, Rico, New Mexico State didn't start Parker Awad. Do you think that was right? Yes. I think they've seen what they wanted to see from Parker Awad, and he's not a good quarterback. Also, New Mexico State versus Lobos, who do you think will win? That is an MVP level game. I'll get to it in a few, but I'm not going to say much. That is an MVP level game. Sultan Swat says that's an MVP level question. There you go. Become an MVP and watch the video he posted on Sunday night for early week plays. Correct. Rico, your sports knowledge is through the roof. Who is the NBA's GOAT? The NBA's GOAT is LeBron James. It really is. People can be fatigued with LeBron. You can have generational debates on who's better than who and who are all these guys. But the reality is there's only been one player that has lived up to the hype and surpassed it. He's the all-time leading scorer in the league's history. Went to the finals like 9 years in a row. In modern time, that's impossible. It's absurd. And he's just the greatest player of all time. Watching Jordan win games, like people always talk about he's 6-0 in the finals, but what was his record the rest of the way, bro? Like, what do you think happened to him in the 80s when he couldn't beat the Pistons? What do you think that was? Did we not count those losses? Did we just ignore the year he came back and they didn't make it to the finals? Like, it's laughable the way they tried to frame things. I am old enough to remember Michael Jordan. I am old enough to remember Kobe Bryant. I'm old enough to remember LeBron James. I've got a good grasp on that one. So for me, the GOAT of the NBA is LeBron James. You can say whatever you want. I mean, you could have your own opinion. That's fine. I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. So I'm cool. Lord Lightskin says, hey, Rico, how do you go about evaluating teams considering the high turnover rate in college? Lord Lightskin, like a fucking apple, I bite it one bite at a time. This is why I'm a transfer portal expert. Because if I study the transfer portal, I already know all the turnover. But the amount of data gathering and research I do is unfathomable for one person. I don't want to pull it up right now, but I have spreadsheets upon spreadsheets of every roster, every player, and notes on every transfer. And you can't do it all in 1 year. You can't just sit down right now and decide, I'm going to learn all the rosters in college football. You will never get there. You won't get there. I've been doing this for 20 years. So when I learn about the rosters in the offseason, I already know 80% of the roster. I already know 90% of the transfers. The only people that ever throw me for a loop are incoming freshmen, JUCO transfers, because they didn't sign with the recruiting class, so I didn't watch their huddle film. Right? But every play, I've watched all the tape I can watch on them. I've done everything. But it's a 24-hour day job. Like I literally work 16 to 20 hours in the off season a day, 7 days a week. It's not an easy thing to do. I stay organized. Let me just tell you that I stay organized. I have certain days. I look at certain conferences and certain position groups, and I just keep grinding through it like that, over and over and over. And once I get through all the teams and all the rosters, I go back over it again, and I never stop. All offseason, it's just a rotating thing. That's why if you check the live tab on YouTube, you will see episode 1 of me talking about transfer quarterbacks. And I talk for 3 hours about transfer quarterbacks. And then the next week, I think I had to do like every week. The next week I do running backs. 3 hours talking about transfer running backs. Then wide receivers. Then offensive linemen. Then defensive linemen. Linebackers. Secondary. And then after I did all those episodes, we start over again. I go back and talk about quarterbacks again, because now there's more transfer quarterbacks, and there's more changes to depth charts, and there's more spring football results, and there's more things. So it just never stops. And you can go check the podcast. You can go check the list. Go to live, Go to my homepage on YouTube, click live, and you will see there's like 6 or 7 episodes on each position group. If you wanted to learn about all these players before the season, that's what you do. You become an MVP, and I teach you about the teams. This is what makes you a better gambler. This is why nobody's surprised that Devin Dampier is so amazing at quarterback for New Mexico. Or this is why I can sit here and just start talking about a player, and I go, hey, you see Jacksonville State here? They found their quarterback. I just talked about Jacksonville State last week, and I'm like, they found their quarterback in Tyler Huff, the transfer. They're like, who's Tyler Huff? I'm like, oh, well, he's an FCS transfer, but he's so much better than Logan Smothers. Like, for me to know that at Jacksonville State is so different from a homer who knows Carson Beck and Gunnar Stockton and Ryan Pogluski at Georgia. That's our quarterback room. Like, it's Georgia, bro. I know all the Power 4 teams. Can you tell me about the team down the street? Because that's going to matter more in gambling, because Vegas doesn't know about those teams. That's where we win all our money. You just saw somebody wrote, thank you, Rico, for North Texas versus Wyoming. Well, how did you know North Texas was better than Wyoming? Oh, well, everybody could have known that. Oh, no. We could talk about it. Wyoming's coach, Craig Bowl, just retired this offseason. So now you got a new head coach. Harrison Whaley's out. That's their starting running back. He's not there right now. They just lost 3 Power 4 caliber offensive linemen in the transfer portal who are now starting at Oklahoma State and USC. And that's the point. Is like, I can tell you systematically why Wyoming's not as good as North Texas. And I go to North Texas. I'm like, well, that's an Eric Morris offense. He just transferred in. He's the new head coach. He used to be the head coach at Incarnate Word before he was the offensive coordinator with Cam Ward up at Washington State. And he brought in Chandler Morris, who's the quarterback from TCU. He used to be the quarterback at Oklahoma. And I could just go on and on and on about this team and why they're going to score so much. And that's what makes me great, but I want to make you great. MVPs. I want you guys to learn. But you got to show up every day. Or you can just watch ESPN and hear them debate about how good Nico is, or is LeBron better than Jordan. Like, they just have the same conversations every single day. Maybe you want to learn about sports. That's why I'm the GOAT. Yep. That's why when everybody ever writes to me online and they're like, Rico doesn't know, you don't know shit. Rico, the favorite comment, Rico doesn't know shit. Somebody writes that to me in comments every day. And I just think to myself, like, I probably forgot more about football than you'll ever know in your whole life. Seriously, your whole life. I think I could name 15,000 college football players right now. 15,000 if I had to. I'm not even joking. Because, like, I can go to a roster and probably name 70 or 80 guys. Just go down. Like, if we're just sitting there and we're just like, all right, let's start with, and we'll go alphabetical. And I can just start naming players on the team. That's what I do. Last year, somebody did that to me. Last year, somebody showed up and was like, you can't even name 7 wide receivers at Auburn or something like that. And I named like 5 transfers at Auburn, wide receivers. And I just started laughing. The video's out there. Connor Foreman has probably seen it. I just started laughing. I just started naming people. It's hilarious. But yeah, I study really hard. That's how I do it, Lord Lightskin. Travis Bosler says, Rico, your authenticity rings through with every word, which is why I hate when you start off your YouTubes defending yourself from the haters. Haters gonna hate. No need to acknowledge those bums. So there's a huge need to acknowledge the bums, Travis Bosler. TikTok's a different entity. You don't see me addressing the haters on YouTube. You don't see me addressing the haters in a Patreon video. Only on TikTok. Because TikTok is engagement driven. So if it pays me a couple $1,000 a month to entertain the fucking losers and just make a video trolling them, I'll do it. For a couple $1,000, it takes me 3 minutes to make a video. I don't know what I make an hour on TikTok, but it's an insane amount of money per hour because I don't put any effort into it. I don't study for those videos. I don't edit them. I just pull up the phone and talk, blah, 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 and then throw it down. And that shit pays me. It's the greatest thing in the world. I don't even care. Don't take nothing over there serious. None of it. I've never seen, and guys, you want to know something? This is the truth. And Kim Jones knows this. Shout out to my beautiful significant other, Kim Jones. Confession. Oh my God, confession. I have never seen Anthony Richardson throw a single NFL pass. Because I don't watch the NFL. I don't watch the games. I don't watch the NFL. I do research on Sundays. I watch other film. I make my early charts video. I'm working on the early chart. I'm doing other things. I don't even watch the games. Never seen him throw a pass. Someone will send me a message and say, oh, Anthony Richardson had a terrible game. And I'll be like, oh, cool. Let me pull up the box score, make it the background, and then I'll just start talking. Never saw anything. I've never watched the guy play. I don't watch the NFL. And they'll get all riled up, and they'll make me thousands of dollars. Just writing me back and forth. And I make the video, and then I just post and I just walk away and get back to work and do this. This is my real job right here. This is my real job. Podcast, evaluating talent, informing MVPs, educating you guys on bets, giving the gamblers advice. That is 5% of my income. This is 95%. Facts. Just so we're clear. Only those who know will know when another knows. Enrico knows. Shout out to you, Travis Boss, or whatever, man. You had me worried there. Wasn't going to be a show today. Kairos, hang in there, brother. Chadwell and Golish to UNC incoming. Wow. It's possible. It's possible. Somebody's got to take the job at North Carolina. And they got money. That's not a small school. They got money. They can pay somebody. They can get somebody big. Rico, I think UNC sucks. Okay, Martin. You have every right to think that. I evaluate talent for a living. We're two different people, Martin. You might be looking from fandom. You might be looking from the results of a game. You think they suck. They beat Minnesota to start the season, right? So they know how to win games. They'll figure it out. But you think they suck. Okay. Zach Downey says, hey, Rico, I know you don't want to go to games since it interferes with your film, but as a fan, do you ever want to travel to different stadiums just to see different atmospheres? So, Zach Downey, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Fan is a fanatic. Fan is derived from the word fanatic. I'm not fanatical about any team to where I cheer for them. I cheer for my bets. I cheer for my predictions. I support players. I don't care what team they play on. They could change teams. I still support the player. I don't care what jersey they wear. I have no desire to go see certain atmospheres. I want to tell you guys something. I took my father to a Chiefs-Ravens game. I don't remember any of it. Patrick Mahomes versus who's the Ravens quarterback? The guy who won the MVP. I don't even know his name right now. Lamar Jackson. Took my dad to the game because I wanted him to experience an NFL game. And I also took him to a Cowboys game for Thanksgiving against the Bills. And I don't remember the games. Because I'm there and I can't keep track of the stats. I can't keep track of what's going on. And I don't like booing other teams. I don't want to boo anybody. I took Kim to Buffalo Wild Wings. I didn't have cable 2 years ago. I didn't have cable. I was only watching games on ESPN Plus at the time. And I took Kim to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch the playoff games for college football. I said, we can't miss these games. I got to go watch them. And she's like, okay. So we go to Buffalo Wild Wings. We're in there. And everybody's looking at me because it was Georgia. This is when Georgia won the national title, I think. It was Georgia. And everybody's looking at me because I'm cheering and celebrating when there's a good play by both teams. and no, it's an unheard of concept. I don't care about the teams. I'm not a fan. I don't care about that. I'm cheering for good athletic plays. It's kind of like when I watch MMA or UFC fights. I cheer for the fighters right now because I place bets on them and because I give out picks. But if I don't have any picks and any bets on the fight, I'm just excited about the damn. And I catch myself doing that with Dana White Contender Series. I forget that I gave out picks for it, and I'll be just excited to watch the fights. I'm a different kind of fan, but I do not like going to games because typically games are not singular. So there's travel involved with the game, meaning I lose time when I could be working. I'm a workaholic. I'm addicted to progress. So there's just no way I would want to not work. So I'm traveling, getting a hotel the day before, going to the game, probably getting another hotel, flying, whatever I'm doing, driving. I don't know. But there's travel involved. And if there's more than one game on at that time, then I'm missing a bunch of other games. And I can't do that. Like, that's never happening. I watch like 6 games at a time. I got 4 on the TV. Shout out to YouTube TV. And then I have my 2 monitors here. I put them in these corners. I can put screens. I usually do ESPN Plus on the other in the corner, so I can keep track of everything. Because if I don't watch all the games, then I have a lot of work to do during the week. Because I got to rewatch all the games. I'd much rather watch as many as I can Saturday and Sunday. I use all Sunday. Just watch it. So I can give out the proper analysis during the results show. So I can give out the proper analysis for my early chart. Yeah, you got to watch as many as possible. Like, yeah, I don't want to go to a game. And I don't like being around other fans. I hate being around ignorant people. Like, I really do. I go to get a haircut. I stopped going to barbershops because I don't want to hear the conversations. I can't stand listening to 2 people talk sports and they don't know what they're talking about. Dude, no, man, fuck that shit. He could have just went. He could have just broke some tackles and scored. I can't be around that shit. I can't be around it. They'll just be, oh, no, he was in a cover 3. And, and I'm just like, what are you doing? You guys don't know coverages? You guys don't know what we're talking about? I remember one time they were in a barbershop talking, and I was like, hey, guys, that was not cover 3. That was cover 2 match. Cover 2 match. And they're like, cover 2 match? What does match mean? I said, well, it's like cover 2, but the corner, if no one threatens his flats, he will turn and run with the receiver when he goes deep. It's called cover 2 match. And he's like, huh? I said, well, let me explain cover 2 palms to you guys. And they're not football minds. They're not coaches. I've been a football coach before. I've played my whole life. I can't watch games the way they watch them. I can't talk to them the way they talk. And then here's something I do. When I do my analysis and I talk in football here, I never break down film for anybody. I do it behind closed doors. I do it for myself. And the reason is I cannot stand the channels that try to teach people how to watch film and try to project how much they know about film watching. I can't stand those channels. Those guys don't impress me because their analysis is still wrong. Right? They can talk about it all day long and they're just wrong. I remember I used to make some TikTok videos about it. I used to make fun of them. I'd be like, look at this nerd breaking down film and he's saying all the wrong things. He literally is saying the wrong stuff. That isn't the right route. That isn't the number. That isn't what it's called. And then I just stopped because I don't even need to go there. Like, it's just a waste of energy. These people don't know what they're doing. I get it all the time. People are, Rico, do you watch all 22? Do you break down film? I saw another channel broke down all the film. And I'm just like, oh, my goodness. I try not to even talk like that. I'd much rather just tell you guys, hey, I was watching film today, and this guy struggles with getting first downs. I don't need to tell you that he struggles on zone plays when he can't hit the 3 or the 5. He only hits the 2 on the right because the right guard's dominant and can get a down block, and they do a trap block. I don't need to talk like that. I'm evaluating guards or tackles. Have you seen his kick step, like kick slide? And I'm just like, oh, my fucking God, bro. All these guards are really good at flat pulls and this pull and that pull. Shut up. Stop trying to impart knowledge on me. I hate it. It's a waste of energy. Been watching film my whole fucking life, bro. 40-something years old. It's not like I'm not going to have an epiphany tomorrow. Anyways. The insurance salesman. JP Richardson. Yes. Loser's limp equals performance-related injury. 100%, Kairos. Sullivan SWAT says, so pumped for the Virginia Tech-Miami game. Hope it's competitive. I don't. FSU got all those transfers, and they're not even better than any of the players already there. That's correct, TD Florida, because FSU only signed backups. FSU signed non-starters from the transfer portal. They did not get any starters from the transfer portal. They got a bunch of guys that were backing up at another school. And they thought, we'll sign those guys. They'll be starters over here. That's not true. It's not happening. They were all backups. There might have been 2 starters in the whole bunch. One was Cam Riley, and I can't even think of another one. Might have been 2. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. All they signed was backups. That's a terrible recipe for success. On the flip side, look at Indiana. Indiana only signed starters from a group of 5 schools. Complete studs. Dudes who've been playing on Saturday, 100 tackle guys. And look what they're doing. They're dominating because you went out and found starters. Can't be getting backups. Terrible strategy by Florida State. And I want to say that that's a fireable offense by whoever is in the recruiting department, whoever's signing these players out of the transfer portal. Their assessment of talent is a fireable offense. What they did was terrible this year. So it's not hard to get it right when you're getting NFL caliber players, but they didn't sign any NFL caliber players. The year before they did. You got Keon Coleman, you got Benson 2 years earlier, you got Jordan Travis 2 years earlier, you had, who's the other wide receiver, 6'7", Johnny Wilson, you had Verse, a ton of guys. I'm missing another one. The other, Brees, or the defensive tackle from Western Michigan. Just a ton of guys. It sucks. Rico, what do you think about NC State's rookie quarterback? Seems like he has a lot of potential. Travis Bosler, I don't worry about potential, and I don't assess potential. Potential to me means you don't have it. It means you don't have it right now. You're not good enough. That's what potential means. Like when somebody says, oh, you have so much potential, that means you're failing. When I was in school, I used to have teachers pull me out of class and be like, Rico, would you please pay attention? You have so much potential. You can be so great. And I'd be eating it up. I'd be like, hell yeah, I got potential, bro. I still had a C. I still wasn't any good. Still wasn't doing my homework, but I got potential. Just means you're not good enough. It means you're not there. I'm watching tape on NC State, and the whole time I'm saying, how is this a starting quarterback at a Power 4 school? How is this happening? How do you not have this much depth? Oh, because your real quarterback transferred and left? That's what happened. And he's on a bench up in Maryland. So whatever. How do you feel about Boston College and Bill O'Brien? Is there improvement because of age and development, or is BOB really that big of an impact with everything? I think it's a combination of things. I think the cupboard wasn't bare. I think they had a lot to build on. And I think Bill O'Brien's a pretty damn good coach. I'm impressed. I also want to say that it's probably been the perfect combination of scheduling. They're the benefit of a pretty easy schedule to this point. It looks like a daunting schedule, but it turned out it wasn't. And they're winning games. It's ugly. They're winning games. So we'll see what happens. I didn't think Boston College was going to be any good this year. I had them at under 4.5 wins, and here they are. Going to make me look silly. I'm not always right. I am wrong. And that's one where I was wrong. Bill O'Brien. I think he's putting together some stuff. Oh, by the way, their defensive backs coach, defensive coordinator, defensive backs coach. Yeah, is it Tim Lewis? Something like that? Yeah, I think it's Jim Lewis. Tim Lewis. Coach Lewis. He's the defensive backs coach at Boston College. He's been coaching for like 40 years. He's amazing. Yeah, I believe in that coaching staff. Watch the video. Shout out to Rico. Shout out to you, Ty Owens. Shout out to ULM for Ty Owens. At Connor, won't lie, that I need people who know about computers story was the funniest thing I heard that week. Thank you so much, Kairos. When I walked into a room full of soldiers and said, I need 10 people who know about computers. They all started volunteering, fucking nerds. Took them outside and then showed them a building and said, all right, you guys see that building right there? I need all the furniture moved out of that building. I just walked away. Oh, the day, hey, being a first sergeant, bro, I have so many funny stories. I do. I just can't think of them all at the moment, but every now and then we'll be talking and then something will spark up and I'll be like, oh my God. And I'll tell you something crazy. That one was cold, just so you know. We also knew not to bet Memphis this week, so it's not just the plays to make, it's the plays to stay away from. That is 100% correct. So I don't just tell you what bets you should be making. I tell you what bets you should not be making. I'll tell you a matchup and say, guys, that's a trap. Stay away from it so I can save you money. And you won't lose it. There you go. So we also, not to bet from 15,000. This sounds like an opportunity for a meaningless YouTube video. Some monster will watch the video just listening to Rico name off the 7th-string wide receiver at Utah State. Name 5+ active Sam Houston players. Noah Caldwell, you are silly. You're embarrassing yourself. I think I can name 5 offensive players at Sam Houston. I don't even have to go defense. I don't think you understand. Like that's not a real challenge for me. That's stupid. I think I can name 5 offensive linemen. But I mean, I can name. You do understand? Like I watch every game. Like I know the teams. That's just dumb. I can name guys you've never seen play for Sam Houston. Guys on the bench that you've never seen. That's crazy. Actually, some months ago, somebody asked Rico if he could name 5 wide receivers on Penn State. Rico went 12 deep, and 5 of them were newcomers. I remember this video. There it is, Connor. That did happen. I'm sure he can do it. More so curious who is brought up. LOL. Cheering for good places. Literally what my mom does. Oh, for good plays. Yeah. Shout out to your mom, bro. Hey, introduce me. Get the fuck out of here. All right, let me get back to the show. We're going to bring up Sam Houston, and we can talk about all the players, and I will explain to you how I know more than 5, but we'll get there. Nonetheless, Jacksonville State playing against a Sun Belt opponent. They go out there and dominate. I told you Tyler Huff is the starting quarterback, and I really believe in him. Shout out to him. Anwar Lewis is supposed to be the running back here, and Anwar Lewis is coming back after being like the backup last year, and he wanted to transfer, and then he's back. He's the guy. I did not have any clue that this guy, Trey Stewart, was going to be their guy. He had a breakout game. I've never seen Trey Stewart in my life. Don't know where he came from or anything. More power to him. Don't know Trey Stewart. Played great. Very impressed. By the way, I had a moment of screaming and yelling when I watched this game. I went back and watched this game on Sunday, and my boy Gerard Bowie got in the game. Okay, you guys want to talk about players? Gerard Bowie is 5th or 6th string at wide receiver, according to our lads. I'm sure. I haven't even pulled it up. Let's see. Let's go to our lads. Let's do this. Let's go to Jacksonville State football depth chart. It's purple because I've looked it up before. Check this out. Not even here. Oh, there he is, Joe. They still have him 3rd string. So he's wide receiver number 7. Right? They got 6 guys ahead of him. Gerard Bowie's here. Gerard Bowie is a Division II transfer, and I discovered him when I was watching high school tape on that quarterback who was Division II out of West Virginia, and he signed with the Bears. He's on the bench right now. Forget his name. Went undrafted. Man, I forgot his name from last year. Doesn't even matter. So I'm watching his high school tape, and they won the state title like a bunch of times. And I'm watching his tape, and he starts throwing to this wide receiver. I think he was number 2 in high school. I think so. So I'm watching the film, and I'm like, who the hell is that wide receiver? So I go look it up. Well, he was only a sophomore that year. And then for the next 2 years, he won the state titles again. Gerard Bowie. And then he followed his high school coach to a Division II school. Was there with him for a while. And then he finally hit the portal, and now he's at the FBS level. And this is an FBS level player. This is a great player. But he signs with Jacksonville State, who doesn't use their wide receivers. This is a Rich Rodriguez offense that's run heavy. They don't have any quarterbacks that can throw to the wide receivers. So I'm really, really worried. Hell, they don't even have Logan Smothers on the depth chart anymore, which is hilarious. And I'm looking at this, and I'm going, okay, they're never going to play Gerard Bowie. And then he got in the game, and he's so good. He's so good. I'm so happy for him. Shout out to him. Shout out to Andrew Paul, by the way, the Georgia transfer. Remember, Georgia running back room is so loaded. The Georgia transfer who can't get into the 2 deep at Jacksonville State. True story. Fucking hilarious. But Gerard Bowie, I'm so happy, bro. Shout out to you. They were hitting on all cylinders. Reginald Hughes, that's an Ole Miss transfer, showing up, making plays, doing his damn thing. Remember, this defense is really struggling. The leaders of this defense that I've seen so far this year are guys like Antonio Carter, that's the Notre Dame transfer, former Rhode Island player, and then J-Rock Swain's been at this school for a really long time. They're all trying to fill the role of Chris Hardy, who left for Ole Miss. So they're really missing at linebacker. They had a guy leave, and then they had a defensive end leave that really was the best talented players on this team. So they're struggling, but they went out there and dominated this game. Went out there and dominated Southern Miss. I thought it was going to be a competitive game. I thought Tate Rodemaker was going to do something. 2 interceptions in 5 attempts, bro. 2 interceptions in 5 attempts. Absolutely gross. Shout out to Florida State. You're putting out nice products. They couldn't find any offense whatsoever. And this game was out of hand, and then you're not catching up, especially coming out of halftime. That third quarter, I turned it off after the third quarter. I've seen enough. 23 points in the third quarter? Get out of here. I already talked about MTSU. Like I said, Holden Willis will always get his yards. Love the way Jaden Creedle's running. Nick V's a terrible quarterback. UTEP playing in this game. They finally went back to Cade McConnell, the California kid. I'm not a big Cade McConnell fan, but apparently he plays a lot better than Skylar Locklear, and he did in this game. A little too late. Skylar Locklear, coaching staff's probably he's their favorite guy because he came over from Austin Peay. He knows the offense, but he was a backup at Austin Peay. So he's got many years left in him. He's very young. Cade McConnell Second year at UTEP, stuck around even after the coaching staff left, and he played pretty good. Javon Jackson not getting any rushing yards. They got no push up against Colorado State. And I decided while watching this game, like I'm cool with Kenny Odom going off and all this, but I decided while watching this game that Colorado State has a player that doesn't belong at Colorado State, and that's this Jock dude. Boom Jock is from Minnesota. It's one of those, and I don't mean to be rude, but he feels like one of those African refugees who ended up in Minnesota. I think there's like a pocket of the population in Minnesota. They might have like a high Nigerian population or one of the African countries. I don't want to sound ignorant, but I'm not. Maybe Liberian or something. So Jock is one of those guys. Boom Jock is just an African dude in Minnesota. My whole life, there was only 2 black people in Minnesota, Kirby Puckett and Prince, right? So I don't even know how this happened, but it's happened. Somebody can explain that to me. But nonetheless, Boom Jock shows up to Colorado State last year and just starts as a true freshman. Just straight up starts as a true freshman. And to see Kamara leave for the NFL and you're stuck with somebody, this guy's good, man. 2 weeks in a row, I'm watching tape on them, and I'm like, oh, man, that's the best player on defense. That's the best player on defense. He's really good. On the other side over here, UTEP, I don't care about none of these stats. I'm not impressed with what they're doing. They got to get it together. They got to find more talent. They really do. They got to find more talent. They got a bunch of – they're an FCS team. They're essentially an FCS team competing with FBS teams, and it doesn't look good. Speaking of doesn't look good, FIU loses to Monmouth. This is Monmouth's first win ever over an FBS team. I went back and watched the game on Sunday. So I watched it Sunday morning. It was the first game I watched. And I thought it was a pretty good game. Monmouth could do whatever they wanted to do. And I really like FIU's defense. They did not come to play. FIU could move the ball, though. FIU was moving the ball, doing things well. At the last play of the game, Eric Rivers catches a pass, and he's running with it to go score the touchdown. And at the 1-yard line, he gets ripped. The ball gets ripped away from him. Monmouth covers it at the 1, and they win the game. They were going to lose. FIU was going to win this game and get out of there with the win, but it didn't happen. I think FIU needs a change into the guard. I think they need just a new voice. They need a new coach. McIntyre's been there too long, and they're just stagnant. They're just stagnant, and this is bad. Yes, they have a freshman. Well, he's a sophomore quarterback now, Keontae Jenkins. In this game, Keon Jenkins, he played good. But you're playing against an FCS level team. But Nelson could do whatever he wanted. Like, they could just do whatever they wanted. It was crazy. Liberty, East Carolina. Guys, I figured it out. And Jake Garcia is going to just be getting intercepted all season long. Jake Garcia has yet to finish a game without an interception. He is a walking turnover. He has 9 interceptions, leads the country. He is throwing interceptions every single game. Look at that. 3, 4, 1, and 1. Always going to throw an interception, and there should have been more interceptions. More. There is a problem with his velocity, anticipation, something. He sucks. And I know I'm supposed to be talking about Liberty, but he sucks as a quarterback. Not good. I don't care. And he's got the longest leash in the world because they're not getting rid of him. The amount of passes these guys deflected in this game. Where's passes deflected? Right here. The amount of passes they deflected in this game, I don't ever see that in a game. I don't ever see 7 passes deflected by one quarterback. So you got 1 interception, 7 of them deflected. That's just the problem there. It's bad. It's bad. And this team, Liberty, is not as good as they've been in the past. It's not the same Liberty team. Their offensive line isn't as dominant. They needed a second half. They were losing at halftime, 17-7. They needed a second half of legend to come back and win this game and cover the spread. But I'm happy they did. I'm not impressed with Liberty. Tulsa La Tech. Tulsa La Tech. Hey, Tulsa La Tech. So if you didn't know, 2 weeks ago, La Tech gave Arkansas all they wanted. And La Tech looked so good against Arkansas, the fucking sports books made them a favorite in this game. And Tulsa got absolutely obliterated in their game. Tulsa was not competitive in their game 2 weeks ago. Who was it against? Forget. Was it like Oklahoma? Oklahoma State. So Tulsa's coming off a 45-10 loss. La Tech is coming off of a very impressive loss. It was it was NC State. My bad, not Arkansas. 30-20. Very impressive game. And in this game, they're the favorite over Tulsa. And I tell the MVPs, guys, I've evaluated these two teams, and I think Tulsa's going to win the game. I think Tulsa's the better team. But I just saw them lose. I just saw them get blown out. And I just saw La Tech play great against NC State. I think NC State's going to win this game. That's what Vegas thought, too. But Rico knows. I said, no, we're taking Tulsa money line. Money line. And for the majority of this game, Tulsa had the lead, and I felt very good about it. Then in the fourth quarter, they fell apart. Craziest play to tie this game. La Tech has one last gasp to tie the game. And by the way, they were down to their third quarterback, Evan Bullock here, this freshman. So Jack Turner, gone. Someone goes wrong, gets injured. Blake Baker comes in. He plays great in the fourth quarter. Then he throws a pick. Then he gets injured. And now they got to bring in a freshman I've never seen in my life. And I'm like, just my luck. I don't know how to tell the MVPs I misevaluated this game because I didn't anticipate a true freshman coming off the bench and playing better than the other two guys. And he comes in and he just starts fucking lacing it. And then with literally no time left on the clock, he throws a bomb. And for whatever reason, there's this tight end, Eli Finley here, not fast at all, but he's behind the defense. And I'm like, what? How did you guys not turn and run and stop this? This is stupid. And we go into overtime. We end up winning the game, which is fine. Shout out to Tulsa for getting it done. And I'm happy because we predicted it, but it was bad. It was bad towards the end. By the way, they have Tulsa 7-point underdogs to North Texas. Okay. La Tech. Quarterback issues everywhere, depth concerns, health concerns, all this stuff. Running backs, Denario Davenport, Texas State transfer, looked good initially, and then just kind of wore out his welcome and wasn't getting any more carries and wasn't doing the thing. Jimmy Holiday, the Western Kentucky transfer, where's he from initially? I think Louisville, Western Kentucky, now La Tech. Scored a touchdown. That's fine. Receiving. The only receiving threat they ever had in this whole game was Eli Finley, which is crazy because True Edwards is fast. True Edwards is good. That's a Hawaii transfer. I like True Edwards on tape. I like him. But he didn't get any production. It is what it is. All right. All in all, Gavin Potter, Broken Arrow. That's the high school he went to, Broken Arrow in Oklahoma. Gavin Potter is Broken Arrow's finest, bro. He played out of his mind. Oh, Buda Garrett. He's a Texas kid. These are studs right here. Studs, playing great in this game, doing everything they needed to do, but I'm glad we got it right. Shout out to us. Sam Houston. Rico, can you name 5 Sam Houston players? Yeah, bro. Yeah, like fucking 50. Let me tell you guys something. Santonio Mauricio here, gonna be the starting quarterback for New Mexico State. Congratulations, they decided to settle on this kid. This is a transfer from Wake Forest. He went out there and did nothing to impress me. Finished the game with 74 yards passing. We had Sam Houston as a lock on this game. I knew they were going to cover the spread and beat New Mexico State. They look good. New Mexico State's only semblance of offense is their offensive line is pretty decent. They have 3 starters returning from last year. So they go out there and they run the ball. And Mike Washington has been very underwhelming. He's falling off the depth chart here. Monty Watkins is in the doghouse. He fumbled in this game. They don't believe in him anymore. And he's probably going to transfer. And I like that kid a lot. But he probably needs to go to like Abilene Christian or something to get more playing time. So the running back room is now Seth McGowan from now on. That's it, okay? Wide receivers, none of them impressed me on tape. Obviously, it's hard to see if you're any good if you don't have a quarterback that can get you the ball. Very, very bad. Bad. Defensively, terrible. Nothing about this team moves me. Let's talk about offense. Let's talk about Sam Houston. So, Hunter Watson being their starting quarterback, you want to believe in Hunter Watson. He won the starting quarterback job before the season. He beat out Jace Bauer. If you guys don't know Jace Bauer, that is the former starting quarterback at Central Michigan. And I know Central Michigan's missing him right now. Jace Bauer is a crafty son of a bitch. Like, I really like Jace Bauer on tape. I've watched him many times. I would gamble on Jace Bauer's rushing yards every chance I get if the prop ever shows up. Jace Bauer can run. He's a bad little white dude. You know who he reminds me of? And it's going to sound crazy, but he reminds me of Baker Mayfield. I know he doesn't have the stats or anything. It's his stature, his moxie, the way he plays. That's a poor man's Baker Mayfield. And he doesn't start at Sam Houston. It's unfortunate. But they can all run. So everybody's doing their damn thing. Jay Ducker, he really disappointed me. This is the Memphis transfer. I talked about him last week, rushing over 100 yards. Really came through. This time they bottled him up, and they gave him 20 carries. They gave that man all the work, and he was not getting it done. Not getting it done. It's sad, bro. I wanted him to so bad. John Gentry, North Shore's finest. He's actually a transfer from Utah State. John Gentry transferred in. He's a high school legend in Texas, but not getting it done. Receivers, nothing. They're not really throwing the ball. They're just running. And it's fine. I like this team defensively. They look stout. They look like they can stop anything. They did lose a bunch of transfers in the secondary, but for me, I think this team has depth in the offensive skill positions, in the running back room and the quarterback room, and that's going to matter for them. I just wish they had a bona fide stud starter, and when Hunter Watson starts playing bad and they go bring in Jace Bauer, that's got to hurt the locker room a little bit, because now some of the guys, half the locker room is going to want one guy and then the other, right? You're going to be loyal to somebody, and that's unfortunate. But I hope Jace Bauer got the job, man. I hope they make him the starter moving forward, because I believe in that kid. Oh, by the way, watching that game, I'm going to tell you something that really stuck out to me watching that game. The lack of speed on New Mexico State's defense. None of the defensive backs could catch Hunter, the quarterback. He breaks free on a run. That's why he was leading the team in rushing. He breaks free on like a 50 or 60-yard run. Nobody could run him down. And they're literally like right next to him. The safeties and corners were not fast enough to gain on him. That's terrible. The team speed at New Mexico State is bad on defense. I don't think anybody on that defense runs under 4.5. Not a single person under 4.5. Maybe even 4.6. Like, they did not look fast. They look really slow. I haven't seen a defense that slow since I watched tape on Israel Banikonda against Virginia Tech when he rushed for over 200 yards against them, because they are all running 4.7 40s. That was like 2 years ago. It was really slow defense. Western Kentucky, second best team in the conference, according to me. And they go out and find a way to beat Toledo. They did not look good in this game. Toledo just did what Toledo does. Toledo did what Toledo does, which is suck when I believe in them. And Toledo throws 2 interceptions, fumbles galore, don't get it to the right players, don't make the right plays. And it doesn't matter. Like, Western Kentucky, 2 interceptions. I was not impressed by Veldkamp's game at all, and I thought I would be when I went back to watch it. I was anticipating it since they found a way to win. I didn't like it at all. They won with a fourth quarter comeback. 14 points in the fourth quarter, a miracle win, if you will. And Elijah Young still looks as terrible as ever. That guy's slow, can't do anything. This offense was just drop back to pass, and Veldkamp can actually run a little bit. So these weren't all 16 designed runs. These were pass plays where he tucked it and decided to run instead. That's what that is. So just so you know, okay? They had more than 30 pass plays. They might have had fucking 40. Just so we're clear. Receivers, Johnson's doing his best to impress me. I'm not a believer. I'll keep watching. Look at this shit. 5 fumbles, bro. 5 fumbles. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not impressed with this. I really like Wheeler up front. Like I said, he's a well, I don't know if I told you guys, but he's a beast, nose tackle, beast up front. Yeah, I'm not impressed with a lot of these guys. Underwhelming performance by both teams. All right, let's talk about it. Matchups this week. Western Kentucky plays Boston College. Good luck. I think it'll be a low-scoring affair. See that 55.5? I like the under. Texas State at Sam Houston. Do not bet on this game. Leave it alone. Stay away from it. I understand Texas State is the favorite by 8 points. I don't like it, and I don't trust Sam Houston. This is a rivalry game. These players all know each other. I don't trust Sam Houston to get blown out like that. I know that they don't generally score and keep pace with Texas State, but neither did Arizona State. Right? Similar built team, Sam Houston. Leave it alone. Liberty App State, I believe it's an MVP level lock. Won't talk about it. La Tech and FIU. I'm going to tell you that I think, even though FIU just lost to Monmouth, which is crazy, I think FIU is a better team than La Tech. And it's an underdog pick. I sound crazy. Just remember. UT Martin, Kennesaw State, they look about even. Middle Tennessee, Memphis. Memphis should win big. I don't know if they're going to win by 24.5, though. New Mexico State, that's an MVP level lock. The line has already moved up to 9. It started this week at 6.5. I hope MVPs watched the video and paid attention. I want to jump to the chat one last time, then we'll end the show. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate everybody. Let's go to the chat. Usually pretty slow at this part of the night when I get to it the second time. I'm sure you guys are all going to be watching Monday Night Football. I really don't care about that kind of stuff. I wish New Mexico State gets a coach from Montana or a top FCS school. Tony's not cutting it. Also, hope the new president will fire the athletic director and get a new one. So, yeah, there's some – shout out to you, Anthony Barron. There are some real political issues at New Mexico State, favoritism in certain positions and things. Hiring Tony Sanchez was a mistake. One of the most underwhelming hires I've ever seen. He was a terrible head coach at UNLV. When you start looking at the other hires in the Mountain West, you start looking at the other hires at other schools, you're impressed, and then you look at the Conference USA hire, and you're like, man, Liberty got Jamie Chadwell. Who'd you get? What has Tony done? Oh, this is fucking terrible. So, yeah, they needed to get somebody young, energetic, that would inspire. You know, you got to find the G.J. Kinneys of the world, and they didn't do that. And I think there's probably some young coaches in the FCS I believe in that I would have probably preferred. But we'll see what happens. They're going to fire that guy, though. A lot of Somalian refugees went to Minnesota around 2011. There you go, Lord Lightskin. Thank you for the history lesson. I wasn't sure. Rico, I keep getting torched by all these garbage quarterbacks when I'm on defense in EA 25. Nothing's working. What should I do? Lavorne Colcla. I think when I used to play EA Sports, I never played the games. I think you should simulate the games. Let the computer determine who's going to win the game. I only recruited, redshirted, changed depth charts. I did move tight ends to wide receivers for me whenever I played because I wanted my tight ends, the best run blocking. I would make tight ends wide receivers. If I ever recruited an athlete and he had good run blocking, I'd make him a wide receiver. So he could go out there and do run block because my offense was like 90% rush or option. And then if I got to a bowl game or the national championship, I would play in the bowl game. I would then play the game. And I would move 3 of my fastest players to quarterback and just run options every single play. Never really played the game. Like, I just ran option. That's what I did. I'd get my 3 fastest corners, and they would get tired after like 3 carries, and I would just rotate the next guy in, and we would just be running options. And I win national titles and won a bunch of dynasties. I can't relate, Lavorne. I've always been a winner, bro. Ty Owen says, Sonny Cumbie is now 4-20 as a head coach at La Tech. Shout out Skip Holtz. Yeah, Sonny Cumbie should be fired. Sonny Cumbie is one of the worst coaches in America. I don't ever believe in him, and I fade him horribly. Hunter Watson got injured. Yeah, no, I know. Listen, Noah Caldwell. Listen, Noah Caldwell. I know he got injured. I'm hoping Jace Bauer wins that job, bro. I'm a Jace Bauer fan. Did you not hear me? I'm a Jace Bauer fan. I want him to be the starting quarterback. So I hope he's the starting quarterback moving forward. I hope he makes believers out of his locker room. I don't give a shit about no injuries, bro. I'm telling you my fandom right there. I cheer for players. Don't care what team they're on. I already talked about this in the episode. So if you leave Central Michigan and you're not Sam Houston, I'm still a Jace Bauer fan. He's my poor man's Baker Mayfield. I'm saying as many positive things I can about this man because I want him to have that job. Appreciate the steam, Rico. Have a good night. Thank you so much. Time to tease FIU up to 10.5. There you go, Armin. Congratulations with that. Good luck with that. It sounds like a good idea to me. Thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.